This is Secret America with your hosts, Jack Danger and James Clary.
Welcome, everybody. I'm Jack Danger. He's James Clary. And as you can see, we are on X on @Secret America TV. That is the new channel that we will be on from now on. It's nice, James, to have our own channel. We've also got our own website now, secretamericalive.com. It's soon going to have all of our links for every channel that we have on Rumble and Spotify and all that. So everybody can find everything in one place. We don't have to say 10,000 different websites. We can just say secretamericalive.com. It's pretty awesome, man.
It's only taken us a year to get here, but
I know, right? we finally decided to expand it a little bit.
Well, we started out audio only, if you remember.
We did audio only, yes.
Then we went to video, and then we made a YouTube channel, Rumble channel. You made most of that. It's it's a process, man. It takes work, time, effort.
It does. That's the problem. Is it takes a lot of time and effort, and people don't realize that, And it's funny because this is, and I want to say hi to Deb. She's one of the first people on here.
Yeah.
But this is, it does take a lot of time and effort, and that's why we started with audio only, and then that's how we built the base, and then we got up to where we are now, and that's why we're able to do the things we are now. Let's get right into it, man. I mean,
what do you got today, brother?
What do you think about the fact that, and I don't know how many people actually know about this, but did you know that actually Bill Barr has been working with apparently it was Project Veritas that uncovered newly discovered text messages and emails.
Let me stop you real quick. Was it O'Keefe Media or Veritas?
It was Project Veritas.
Okay.
That's all. That's what it was. It was Project Veritas. And and apparently what happened was Project Veritas claims that newly discovered texts and emails reveal that former Attorney General Bill Barr collaborated with Fulton County, Georgia DA Fani Willis on the RICO case targeting President Trump. James, this is huge. We're talking about President Trump's former attorney general. The top law enforcement agent in America was actually working with a local DA, Fani Willis, on the RICO case that targeted President Donald Trump. I want to hear your thoughts on this. That's shocking to me.
It's shocking, but not shocking. You know what I mean? Because Bill Barr is such a swamp creature, and it goes to we've talked about it many times how Trump's first administration was full of people like that, and he got roped into hiring all these people. He said it himself, Jack. He didn't know what he was doing, so he took advice from all these people. And when what's his name recused himself from the Russia deal, who was that guy? Jeff
Sessions?
Yes, thank you. Sessions, the first AG, he gets all this advice to hire this guy named Bill Barr. And we've talked about the fact that Donald Barr, his father, gave Jeffrey Epstein his first job. Barr was a CIA guy. He was known as the mop-up man, Bill Barr, as the mop-up man in the CIA. Whenever there was a scandal, they sent Bill Barr in to take care of it. So see, that's the guy we have as our attorney general. He was working behind the scenes, I think, the whole time to scalp Donald Trump. I mean, look, he was sent all of the evidence about the election fraud. And that's something we don't talk enough about either. The 2020 election fraud, which was just massive.
It was.
He was sent all the information and said, oh, there's nothing to see here. It's a nothing burger, which we know was total BS. And that's why, he and Trump went at it. Now, the AG is supposed to be independent of the president. The president gets to appoint that person, but they're supposed to be independent. Well, I think Trump learned his lesson, and that's why you've got Bondi in there, who above of all else, Bondi is a Trump loyalist. I think you'd have to admit that. I don't like her. I think she should be fired, honestly, because I think she's loyal to a fault. But Barr was the opposite. I mean, he was, he was the enemy is inside the gates. I mean, he bad man.
You're absolutely right. He was, and he still is, to be honest with you. And just to see, though, I mean, we all know that Trump in his first term, like you said, he didn't really know who to pick. He relied on trusting people that were, out to get him. And pretty much it seems like everybody at that point was out to get him, because he was coming in. People forget this. He was coming in at the end of Obama's term, and Obama was the one that spied on his campaign. So, you got to think, if he's spying on Trump's campaign, everybody that worked for Obama, who's now transferred over to Trump's administration, especially the mid-level people, the policy writers, they were the ones that hated Trump the most. And those are the real people that run the government. They write the actual policies, and they are the ones that, recommend staffers, and then the staffers are the ones that are the gatekeepers to Donald Trump. To this day, they won't let Laura Loomer in there, the staffers, even though Trump listens to her about everyone to fire because she finds the people that are against Trump. But the staffers won't let her in there to see him at all. I mean, it's crazy how much power the staffers still to this day have over access to the president of the United States, especially Donald Trump, who thought you'd think he would have learned his lesson from 2016 in that presidency. But he needs to be more, because there are things that he's like, oh, I didn't know that was happening. He didn't know about the Marutska thing until weeks later, because apparently nobody's telling him these things. And, so there are still people, even in his own White House, that are against him to this day, James.
Well, and sadly, where I think Trump gets most of his information? Besides, I mean, he obviously gets the president's daily briefing.
Well, it's got to be social media.
No, it's not. That's the thing. It's Fox News. Wow. Trump is a huge Fox News guy, and he always has been. And he still relies on Fox. I doubt you and I watch more than a couple of minutes of Fox. I never watch Fox anymore. I mean, I gave up on Fox 5 years ago in 2020 when they called the Virginia election. I have no trust in them at all.
Yeah, I hear you there.
So, we have to go to many other sources to get our news. But you're right. Trump seems to be, he's just ignorant of certain things that everybody else in the country. I mean, going back to his answer on Epstein, like, wow, you guys really talking about this? I mean, he seemed really shocked and surprised.
Yeah.
When asked about it. I think that was a genuine reaction. He's like, wow, that's a thing.
And, that's funny that you say it's genuine, because most people took it as, him being snide and snarky, but it may have been genuine because he is insulated from a lot of things, and it's the staffers that do him, that do it. They are the gatekeepers of access to Donald Trump. And that's why we say there are still people against him to this day. And it's crazy how and then you got people like Deb says, he's loyal to certain people, almost too trusting. And that's true. He is almost too trusting. That's exactly what's going on here. That is the way he is.
Deb also said Barr was a CIA asset. No, Deb, he actually worked for the CIA for 7 years. And Roger Stone reported, not to go off on another tangent, but just as an aside, Bill Barr was the guy who was responsible for the cocaine operation that ran out of Mena, Arkansas when Clinton was governor. The whole Iran-Contra thing was funded with cocaine sales. The CIA was flying it into Mena, Arkansas, because Clinton, as governor, gave him cover. They literally had Arkansas Highway Patrol to meet the plane. I mean, you can't make it up, but Roger Stone has said Barr was in charge of that.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure he was, because he allowed a lot of people, to take advantage of him because he is too
Ugh.
trusting sometimes, and he still
Totally.
is to this day, still too trusting. And that's, that's the hard part. And that's why people can walk all over him, even though he's very strong in some areas. He's also weak when it comes to people because he is too trusting. Case in point, he just literally secured peace in the Middle East, James. He
Yeah.
secured peace in the Middle East, something that no president before him has done, yet he was not given the Nobel Peace Prize. He was, believe it or not, John Legend, the horrible leftist person, actually said that Donald Trump deserved the Nobel Peace Prize.
No.
John Legend said
No
this.
way.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Wow.
John Legend said this. And then you've got, even the person, and I thought this was, I want to get your opinion on this real quick, actually, because even the person that actually got the Nobel Peace Prize, this person actually had something very interesting to say. And I'm going to play it right here real quick. I want everybody to listen to this real quick.
And they decided to dedicate it to President Trump because he deserves it. Because not only has he been involved in only a few months in solving 8 wars, but his actions have been decisive to have Venezuela now at a threshold of freedom.
She actually says that she won the Nobel Peace Prize for what? God only knows. I have no idea what she even did to get it. But he actually stopped 8 wars, including the war that we just talked about with Gaza and the Palestinians and Israel. And yet, even it's pretty bad when even the current Nobel Peace Prize winner says, "I'm dedicating it to somebody else who actually deserved it." James, I mean, is the Nobel Peace Prize, is it no longer prestigious? Apparently, it's political.
No, you know what? When they gave it to Obama in his first 6 months in office, it was done then. It's gone the way of the Oscars and the Emmys. No one cares. No one gives a shit because it's all BS. It means nothing. That's really sad because it did mean something at one point, even though the guy that created the Nobel Peace Prize, you know what he did for a living?
What?
He made dynamite.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's why he created, and he actually put $1 million prize. People don't know this, but if you win the Nobel Prize, you get $1 million.
Yeah.
It's $1 million prize. It's not just the medal that you get. You also get $1 million. And and it was because he invented dynamite and he had all this money from the invention of dynamite that he was able to do this. But now, James, it's just political. I mean,
totally.
What more can you say?
Totally. It's sad, but it's funny you mentioned that, but about the dynamite guy creating this Nobel Peace Prize, this was a common theme among the very wealthy back in the day. Rockefeller, we all know about the Rockefeller and Foundation, all these very wealthy, they were millionaires back then, billionaires now. They start these NGOs to make themselves look good, because at the time, like, Rockefeller was looked at as the worst tyrant, and he was horrible.
Yes, he absolutely was.
So, and Carnegie was another one. So he started the Carnegie Foundation, or the Carnegie Endowment Fund. So they started these funds. They were given these marching orders, say, look, start this fund, you'll get great PR. And so that's exactly what they did. And now people look at them, they're great philanthropists, when they were really just doing it to sew up their image. But
it's the same thing. That's why they got, Carnegie Hall, or and that kind of stuff. It is just for image purposes. And believe it or not, anybody that sees a person's name on a building, that's the only reason they donated the money. It has nothing to do with caring about anything. It's because it's prestigious, just like it's prestigious to be on the board of the Kennedy Center. It's very prestigious to be on that board. And that's why I think it's brilliant how Trump put himself as the head of the Kennedy Center. He gets to decide who gets on the board. I love that, because that's one of the most prestigious boards in the entire country. And if you're on this board, you are somebody. Apparently, that's how it goes nowadays. It's very interesting stuff, James. But a lot of people, again, don't know those kinds of things. They don't know that, there's so many different ways to look at things, so many different political aspects to every single thing that goes on. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, James.
Well, Trump was always an outsider. I mean,
yes, he was.
Look, the cocktail circuit in Manhattan that runs through Virginia and DC and the East Coast and the Hamptons, Trump was never part of that. I mean, look, he comes from a construction background. He really does identify more with the blue collar worker, the electricians and the plumbers and the drywall guys and the roofing guys than with the East Coast cocktail circuit. And he was an outsider, and somebody said on our comments saying how disappointed she was in the Trump administration. And Jack, you and I have been ruthless, I think, in criticizing the president where it's due, but I've got to give him some props to a certain degree on this peace deal, because it's been decades that people have been trying to get this done. And I really do think Bibi looked like a sad old dog at this. I don't know if you watched any of it. I mean, he had to give up a lot, Netanyahu. He honestly wanted to completely raze Gaza and raze by R-A-Z-E, completely destroy it, completely take it over and completely occupy it. And this peace deal, I don't know, maybe we can talk about it a little bit, but, there's obviously a ceasefire. The prisoners have been returned, although you had a great point. Let's just stop right there. What was your point about the prisoners returned, Jack, the hostages?
Yeah, something very interesting happened. Apparently, there were no female survivors in the hostages, because apparently what happened is they don't want them to come back and tell what happened to them, because they were most likely, a lot of them were raped to death. Now, imagine that. I want everybody to stop and imagine this for a second. How can you be raped to death? That tells you right there that these people were, they were, what's the word I'm looking for? They were
brutalized, tortured.
Man, you ever have it when a word escapes your freaking mind? I'm trying to say that they were something to brutal. I mean, brutalization beyond imagination, raping to death. That is absolutely unbelievable. That's something that people can't imagine. You can't fathom something like that happening. But that is why they left no female survivors, and they were all men.
Yeah, and actually some of the remains that they did recover, after you said that, I wasn't aware of it, so I looked it up. Some of the remains they did recover did show signs of torture and sexual abuse. So, yeah, I think that's exactly why they did it. And,
exposed. Exposed was the word, James. Sorry, it just came to my mind. I could not. Exposed to brutalization.
Right. With this peace deal and everything that's going on in the Middle East, I mean, really, one of the biggest things that's been in the news lately has been the whole Israel influence in the U.S. There's this wedge in our side, right? Did you hear what Netanyahu called the woke right? He called it the woke Reich, like the Third Reich.
Interesting. No,
I mean, just I don't like that guy at all. I think he's a neocon to the ultimate. I mean, to me, and I'm talking about Bibi Netanyahu, to me, he's of the same ilk as George Bush, Donald Rumsfeld, Dick Cheney, that whole old neocons. October 7th smells to high heaven. It looks like a repeat of 9/11 to me, and I'm going to stick to that. I mean, you can't convince me. We don't need to rehash that, but what happened on October 7th. So, but back to I don't want to get too lost. Trump deserves some credit for this. Now, I'm not going to say, like I heard Clay Travis say on the radio today, that it's, he deserves to be known as the most notable POTUS in the last 100 years. I don't know about that. And I'm not really sure how important that is, because like you said, Jack, the bureaucrats still run things. When Trump leaves, the administrative state will be intact. And, one thing that Steve Bannon pounded over and over, when we get Trump into office in 2024, we have to deconstruct the administrative state, and it hasn't been done.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And that's the thing. They do kind of make it to where, nothing can change. But I will say that there's one good thing about this government shutdown. Trump can unilaterally fire whoever he wants. While there's
Right.
a government shutdown, he doesn't have to go through Congress for anything because there is no Congress. So he can unilaterally fire, and he did fire many people, whoever he wants to. And I think that that's a great thing. That can help get rid of the
Absolutely.
bureaucracies. If you want to get rid of the deep state bureaucracy, now is when you fire all those people. You can hire anybody you want once Congress comes back in or whatever, but you can fire these people now. And he has not fired enough people, in my opinion. He should be firing everybody left and right. He can also defund anything he wants and get rid of any program he wants. I want to see him exercise a little more of that power. That's what I want to see.
Oh, Lord, Terry. Terry's just cracked me up. Stop saying those names. I think she meant like Cheney, Rumsfeld, and George Bush. It's interesting, though, just as an aside about this wedge in the right. You know what it's doing, Jack? This is kind of unheard of. When you've got someone like MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, do you know what program she was on last week? She was on the Young Turks, and they found a lot of agreement. I spent an hour on the phone yesterday with my brother, I have two brothers and a sister. They're all uber liberal. And I mean, we didn't talk for a long time, but I spent an hour on the phone with my brother, and you would not believe how many things we agree upon. What I'm saying is there may be a split in the right as far as Israel influence, but what you're seeing some coalition between the left and the third, or the far Reich, as Bibi calls it. And I don't think you and I are, I don't know, maybe I am more than you, but I'm definitely critical of the current Israel administration. I think they've been horrendous. Like I said, I think October 7th was a setup completely, and I think what they've done in Gaza is beyond the pale. At the same time, I'm re-listening to Daryl Cooper's 27-hour historical podcast of the founding of Israel, and he starts it out talking about the early 1900s in Russia and what happened to the Jewish people. I mean, you talk about horrendous, tying a mother up. This is one example, by her legs, by her feet, hanging her alive, and then putting her 6 children that had been butchered, like their guts cut out, underneath her so she could watch that. The Jews were persecuted for centuries. But then they go start this country. And the last thing I'll leave it is, at the same time, we're all these people, many people are in favor of the Mexicans coming in. Yeah, open borders. Yeah, come on in. But what if a bunch of the Mexicans said, okay, yeah, we're coming in, but we're going to carve out this chunk of Texas and we're going to make it our own country, which is in essence what the Zionists did in Israel. There were 500,000 Arabs, Palestinians living in that land when they went in there. I mean, how would we feel if the Mexicans said, we're going to take a big chunk of Texas and we're going to call it, La Raza or whatever? So my point is, there's terrible things on both sides. I mean, what Hamas raping these women to death, it's absolutely disgusting. But, there's also a lot of butchery and savagery on the Israeli side. And Jack, you're the one that's always said it. We should just stay the F out.
I mean, we absolutely should. And the reason that I don't really talk much about Israel or about Palestine or Gaza is because, honestly, I don't hate or like either of them. I nothing them. They don't come across my mind because they don't really matter to me.
Right.
Now, I mean, whatever's going to happen between them is going to happen. So I don't really need to focus on that because it doesn't matter to me personally. Now, it might matter to others. I'm not saying that Israel or Palestine don't matter. I'm just saying they don't matter to me. So that's why I never really talk about them, because honestly, I don't know much about them or the situation. Right. I just know little bits. Now, for people that are asking what I'm doing, what I do when I'm looking down, what I'm doing is I'm doing research live because this is live. Everything we talk about, for people that don't know, we don't come up with what we're going to talk about beforehand. This is a live, spontaneous show. Everything that we do is it's done spontaneously. Everything
we don't
talk about,
plan anything.
No, it is not planned at all. It's all done on a whim, so that's what keeps it interesting and fresh, I think. And that's why
sometimes we go all over the place a little bit. That's just the way it is.
And that's why we don't know. I don't know what he's going to say, and he doesn't know what I'm going to say. And I think that's what makes it genuine, and the reaction's good. But also, I'm also reposting our stuff so it can get out there, so everybody can see it. Especially with this being a new channel, a lot of people don't know about it. So I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that, because I had a lot of posts like, "What is Jack doing? What is he doing over there? Is he spying on us?"
Right.
I am spying on you, but that's not the only thing I'm doing. Just so you know.
I appreciate it. No, and I think you're right. I think it's why I enjoy doing the show. It's just that you and me having a conversation. Really, that's what it's all about. And then the people in the chat. We do read your chat and we react to it, and it's great to have you guys. We appreciate you, even if some of you are complete anarchists. Free. Love you, brother.
Yeah. Well, no, that's exactly why, I love doing the show too, because it is spontaneous and it's done live. So we can look at the chats. We can put them up here. Sometimes we can talk, we can react to what they're talking about, and that's one of the things that I do love about this show. And James, a minute ago, we were just talking about, Israel and how it seems to have a lot of influence in America, right? And how, there's so many people that seem to have a dual citizenship with Israel. But I want to go and say that there is actually a lot of people that were that have either a dual citizenship now with another country or held a dual citizenship at one time with another country. Let me tell you, there are 6 current senators that have a dual citizenship or had one. There are 26 people in the House of Representatives that have a dual citizenship at this point. We're talking Germany, Mexico, Ireland, Canada, Scotland, Japan, the Dominican Republic, Peru, India, South Korea, Taiwan, Somalia. I mean, there are Ukraine. There are so many different ones. You would be surprised. It seems like almost every congressperson has a dual citizenship at this point or is a naturalized citizen. Do you know how many people in the 119th Congress are actually naturalized citizens that were not born here in America? There are people like Ted Lieu, was born in Taiwan in the 1980s. Pramila Jayapal, India, 1989. Grace Meng, Taiwan, 1978. Young Kim, South Korea, 1984. You've got all these different people. Raul Ruiz, Mexico, 1992. Salud Carbal, Mexico, 1985. Even Ilhan Omar in Somalia in 2000. There is a good 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 different people in the 119th Congress that were not born in America. They don't have an allegiance to America. They didn't grow up saying the Pledge of Allegiance to America. They don't have America's best interests at heart. And even Ilhan Omar has said, I'm a Somalian first and an American second. These people, I think if you should have to be an American-born citizen to be president, you should have to be an American-born citizen to be any politician, James. What do you think?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I haven't really given it a lot of thought. I do think there should be a requirement that dual citizenship should be mandatory, that they disclose it. And right now it's not. They don't have to disclose it.
That's true. A lot of those that I named are not disclosed. There are many that are not disclosed. You're right.
Right. Yeah, and we're talking about, there are 2 issues here. One is dual citizenship, and one is they're natural, or they weren't born here. They were born in another country. So I guess if they became an American citizen, they'd automatically, if you're born in India, you're an Indian citizen, you become an American citizen, you have dual citizenship. Yeah, I think it should be disclosed at the very least.
Oh, without a doubt. They should have to disclose dual citizenship. And honestly, I think that they should have to disclose their biggest donors. I mean, I know a lot of people, you can find their biggest donors, obviously, but a lot of people don't know them. I mean, and a lot of people's biggest donors are AIPAC or are Big Pharma or this or that. And it's just, there are so many different. And like Free says right here is, all I hear is reasons we don't need a treasonous federal government. And I think that's the case. I mean, I think you should have to be born an American citizen to at least be a federal government politician. Maybe not a local mayor or something, but if you're going to make laws in America, you should have to be an American, I think.
You know, there's a really good account you guys should all follow on X. Her handle is @VillageCrazyLady, which I love. But I mean, she's made it. Her name is Mel, and I've had her on my radio show several times. She's gone big. I mean, I think she's been on like Fox, but big programs. She has done deep dives into the finances of different, both GOP and Democrats, because you can find that information on the FEC, Federal Elections Commission. They have to disclose where they're getting money from. Now, obviously, there's dark money out there, but man, when you find that out, like you said, Jack, it's always follow the money, brother. Follow the money.
And I have to agree with Deb. What happened to the Fort Knox audit? I
mean,
whatever happened to Doge? You never hear about them anymore. And they were going to audit Fort Knox, and that never happened. And you want to know why? Because I believe there's nothing in there. I mean, the gold standard was made gold because we had all this gold in Fort Knox. I believe there's nothing in there. It would be just like when Geraldo Rivera opened up Al Capone's vault. That was the moment that killed his career. If we open up Fort Knox and there is no gold, that will be the moment that destroys America. Our economy would plunge. The stock market would plunge immediately. You could not imagine the catastrophe it would cause if they open that up and there's no gold in there.
And you're right. What happened to that? There were so many things. I can't remember who said it earlier in the comments about how disappointed she was. I think it was Raina, because she's right. There were so many promises, and I'm not going to even beat the dead horse again about justice, because we talk about it every week. You know, we just the last week's show, justice delayed is justice denied. You know, we haven't. What have you heard from the FBI or the DOJ on the Charlie Kirk thing? I mean, they've been silent. They caught the guy in 2 days, and now nothing. Granted, there was a court hearing, but this was the biggest political assassination in 60 years.
Was there ever an autopsy? I heard that the autopsy was never done.
No, there was an autopsy.
There was. Do we?
There
have
has to be. Yeah, has to be. It's by law. If there's any suspicion of crime, but here, if we want to get into that a little bit, here's the deal. Everybody will tell you that a 30-odd 6 from 200 yards will blow through 4 oak trees. I mean, it would have literally almost taken his head off. It's not going to be
stopped by his vertebrae. I can tell you that.
No! That's the most ridiculous. So what does that tell you? They've never disclosed what, if any, type of bullet or bullet fragments they found in the autopsy. I'm saying I don't think it was a 30-06, which was the rifle that Tyler Robinson had. I think you're going to find it was a smaller caliber, like a 9mm. It was shot at a much closer range. It went into his neck. It hit an artery. That's why it looked like an exit wound. If you hit that artery, you're going to get arterial blood spurts, which is what you saw. But there was no exit wound because it was a small caliber. I don't think it was a 30-06.
And it had to be from closer. It had to be from closer.
Right.
So it was a small caliber. It had to be from closer. I think it was a 22, personally.
Could have been.
Just my personal opinion. I think that was the exit wound of the 22. And it's shocking to me.
Not exit wound, because there's no entrance
thing, though.
wound.
It looks like an exit. Now, we didn't see an entrance wound. Now, on the video, you do not see an entrance wound. I will give you that.
That's what I'm saying.
So weird.
No, I know it looks like it, but if you do hit an artery, that's why you get that blood spurt. Because if you hit an artery, it's going to immediately pump.
Well,
blood out.
But I mean, the hole just looked so much bigger than an entry wound would.
Right.
It just looked strange.
I know. And then I was listening to a Green Beret talk about it, and he's like, the first thing you do, and I thought of this. I go, the first thing you see that blood spurt out, what are you going to try and do? Stop the bleeding, right?
Exactly.
I mean, literally, you're going to stick your fingers in there. You're going to stuff a shirt. You're going to put gauze down in there to try and stop the bleeding. None of those guys that carried Charlie to the car, watch the videos, none of them have any blood on their hands. At the very worst,
No.
the worst is conspiracy. At the very least, it was horrible negligence. They did not treat that wound. Every soldier that's worked in combat has said the same thing. What were those guys doing?
But let's
You
be
didn't-
real. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was
Let's
just going to say, you didn't see any of them trying to stop the bleeding.
No, and that's why I think that's another reason why I think this was a conspiracy. If you are a hired security for Charlie Kirk, you're going to know to stop the bleeding if
Right.
you are hired security. Okay,
Yep.
These people carried him out. I have video from different angles of him being put into the SUV, in the back of the SUV, okay? First of all, there is nothing touching his neck. Nobody's touching his neck.
I know.
They've got 4 guys, 1 on each arm, 1 on each leg. But his neck, there is nothing on his neck. You can see his neck as they put him in the vehicle. That tells me right there, James, that these people are trained security. They are very experienced security. First thing you do, if you're security, you're going to know first aid, basic first aid. They
Right.
did none of that, James. This had to have been a conspiracy. I'm sorry. People can call me a conspiracy theorist. I think I'm 69-0 at this point. So make me 70-0, James.
No, dude. I mean, I totally agree. And you can talk about the SD card being taken out of the camera. You can talk about different planes leaving the airport or drones flying over. But the fact that no one tried to stop the bleeding, you can go look at the video. I've looked at them several times. Not one of those guys has a drop of blood on them.
And you know the weird thing?
In a normal situation, they'd have blood all over them.
Oh, yes. Especially if they tried to stop the bleeding because they'd be close to the wound. It was screaming all over them. But the even weirder thing is that you can see in the video. Now, I'm not saying I don't know what this person handed that guy, but one of the people came over, handed this guy something, and he ran away to go hide or do whatever it was with whatever he was handed. And it was not the SD card that he was handed, because the guy that handed him something was the guy in the camouflage. Now, I don't subscribe to the theory that it was some kind of remote control, that he was killed from his lapel mic or whatever. I don't subscribe to that theory, but I will say he did hand him something, because there's video of that guy running towards, there was a spectator that was running towards the shooting, right? Running towards the shots. That guy is running towards the spectator holding something in his hand. You can't see what it is, but you can see his fist and you can see there's something in his hand as he runs away. Whatever he was holding, I want to know what that was.
Let me pose this to you
Mhm.
and to the chat, the comments. We all feel pretty much like we're not getting the full story on this, that there's more to this, We also all know that Dan Bongino particularly was very close to Charlie Kirk. So if it is a conspiracy and nothing else ever comes out, what kind of power is behind this, that they could keep a close friend who's deputy director of the FBI to keep him from spilling the beans? That's scarier than the assassination almost.
I agree. And Terry, it wasn't the card from the camera that he was holding, because the guy in the camouflage was nowhere near the camera. It was a different person that grabbed the card out of the camera. You can see it on video. This guy handed this guy something and he ran back. It wasn't the card. But you're right, James. That is absolutely scary, because you got to think Bongino and Kash Patel and Pam Bondi too, have basically done not really anything since they got in office. And they were all about, at least Patel and Bongino were all about doing stuff before they got into office. That tells me that the powers that be, the deep state, they either have blackmail or they have threatened these people, and they know they can get to anybody. They just reasserted themselves. Hey, I got the Charlie Kirk. Everybody saw it and nobody can catch me. So what makes you think I can't get to you in your own home?
I know. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. And someone like Dan, I mean, I feel for him. I really do, because we've talked about that one interview that they did when they both claimed that, Epstein definitely killed himself, how they looked like deer in the headlights. I mean, that was the first sign that, whoa, wait a minute, something is afoot at the DOJ. Something doesn't smell right at the FBI. Even though we made all these promises, it just tells you, Jack, there are powers much bigger and more powerful than the president, than Donald Trump.
You're right, and I don't think people understand how scary that really is. People say, "Oh, they were threatened. Oh, they'll go. You know, you do it anyway. Do it anyway. Forget the blackmail. Let's say that these people cannot be blackmailed." Terry said to Jack,
I know. I saw
mansplain me.
Yeah.
He's in deep shit. That's funny.
Yep,
That's
you've been
funny.
mansplained. Anyway,
So, let's say that these people can't be blackmailed. Kash Patel and Dan Bongino are beyond reproach. They can't be blackmailed. They can't be bribed. The only other thing is threats. Now, you got to tell me if these people in the deep state are the same type of people that killed JFK and threw out a patsy, killed Charlie Kirk, threw out a patsy, killed Martin Luther King and RFK and threw out a patsy.
yeah.
You're telling me that they can't get to you in your own home? They are scared to death. They saw this man get shot and, you know, in front of 50 million people, yet they were able to throw out a patsy that easy. They saw Donald Trump, the president, almost get shot on live television, and they were able to kill a patsy and throw him out there. So, I mean, how easy would it be for them to kill a Dan Bongino or a Kash Patel, make it look like a suicide? What if they put a gun to Kash Patel or Dan Bongino's family and say, look, if you don't hang yourself right now, I'm going to kill your family. It's going to look like he was hung by himself.
And it's the kids that where I go. I think they threaten their children.
Yep.
You know, I mean,
and they can get to you so easily. Oh my God.
and they could. And I mean, that's horrible to even think about. Like, wow, really? Are there people that bad? Look,
Yeah, there are.
these same people killed 3,000 Americans on 9/11. They knew that was going to happen. We all know it. They killed how many children in the OKC bombing? I think it was over 30 that were in the daycare center, along with 100+ other people.
Waco,
They don't care
the
about
whole nine.
human life. Yes,
Yeah.
they don't care.
No, they don't care about human life. And the fact that they can get to you and never be caught. But the scariest part is the fact that you don't know who they are. You don't
Right.
know who they are. So you can't look out your window and say, hey, that's the person. I'm going to keep an
Yeah.
eye on him, because there's probably thousands of these people in this thing that are, trained to do whatever. And you don't know who they are. You could be walking next to that person. That person could be next to you at a red light. You have no idea. And the devil you know is always better than the devil you don't. And this is the devil you don't. And it's very scary.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about Charlie Kirk and these other historical assassinations, but the Epstein list is now the thing about the Epstein list and Charlie's assassination, it kind of tends to give credence to the idea that some aspect of Zionists are involved, because when it was said that Epstein was a Mossad agent, the normal people, just freaked out. The normal influencers, the Josh Hammers of the world, Ben Shapiro's just freaked out. Laura Loomer's another one. What do you mean Epstein's Mossad? There's just this narrative, and I'm so sick of it. Can't we just all try and get to the truth?
That's the thing.
That's
They don't
what we try and do.
Yep. Oh, and that's a good point. Raina said that tomorrow is Charlie Kirk's birthday, and we are wearing red in honor of Charlie Kirk. So everybody that's watching this, that was the color that they chose. Red is for love and whatever else. They're wearing red in honor of Charlie Kirk for his birthday tomorrow. I actually won't be wearing red, though. I'm going to be wearing the shirt that Charlie Kirk wore when he was assassinated, the freedom shirt, the white freedom shirt. I'll be wearing that tomorrow. So tomorrow is a big day for all of us, man.
Absolutely. And we can't let this go.
No.
We cannot let it go. We need to stay. We got to keep the pressure on. It only took 70 years to get the truth out of JFK, and we still don't have all of that. But, I mean, we can't let it go. And, the silence from TPUSA, even Erica Kirk. I mean, I get it. Erica's, she's a grieving widow and she's raising children. But I don't know, man. Things just don't smell right to me. I mean, it seems like you think Jack Posobiec, Andrew Kovac, the CEO of TPL, you think they would be raising the alarm and asking questions. I just don't hear much from them.
I'd be yelling about it every day if he was a personal friend of mine.
Absolutely.
I mean, hell, I talk about it more often than they do, and I didn't know the guy.
I know. It's crazy.
There's something else I wanted to talk to you about, James. I know you know about Gavin Newsom's plan to basically redistrict California to where it's entirely blue, to where no Republican could ever win a House, Senate, or the governor, right?
Right.
So they're trying to do that because basically what they did in Illinois, he's trying to do now. But in California, you have to put it for a vote. That is what Prop 50 is. Now, James, there are ballots going around right now where if you mark no on Prop 50, you can see it through the ballot. So it can be thrown away very easily. I want to show everybody this real quick. Take a look at this. This right here is a picture of one of the ballots. If you mark yes, you can see it here. If you mark no, you can see it here. So if someone marks no, whoever counts the ballots, throw it away. Throw it in the incinerator or the shredder or whatever it is. They tell you what your answer is right here. You can easily, right there. They know exactly what your answer is without having to open the envelope, James. And I think that was the whole point.
It's insane. California's lost. I mean, this takes us back to the conversation we had before. It's time for a national divorce. I mean, they're lost. Illinois is lost. New York's lost. You know, it wasn't that long ago, Jack, that we had Republicans in charge in California. Ronald Reagan was the freaking governor.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor in 2000 something.
I know. Same thing in New York. You know, remember Rudy Giuliani was mayor of New York.
America's mayor. He was the only one. It's funny because, okay, so New York was terrible until Giuliani came in. He cleaned it up for however long he was in there. As soon as he left, it went right back to terrible.
Yeah, I know. The only negative thing I have to say about Giuliani, and it's pretty big, when he was involved in the 9/11 cover-up, totally.
Really? Now that I don't know anything about.
Without a doubt. Big time. He had to be as the mayor. But anyway, we won't go there now.
What I will say, though, is did you know that in San Francisco, you know how it's basically a drug zombie apocalypse downtown, right?
Yeah.
Well, you remember when the California governor brought in the head of the CCP. What's his name? What's the China's president's name again now?
Xi Jinping.
That's it, right. So when he came to visit, San Francisco was completely cleaned up. It was a shiny new penny, right? So that tells you that they can clean it up if they want to. It was cleaned up in a matter of a couple days, but now it's back to being a drug zombie apocalypse. That shows you that all the politicians can clean up their shit like that, but they don't for political reasons. They are not for American citizens anymore. It is just all about politics. It's just shocking to me that how you can grow up as an American citizen and then go against your own people, Americans. I mean, I just don't see how the normal mind can do that.
And it's honestly sad, you know, as a restaurant guy, you know, I own fine dining restaurants. I used to travel to Northern California all the time, at least once every 2 years in the 20 years I had the restaurants. And I'd go to wine country in San Francisco. God, the times I had there was so beautiful. I mean, just one of the most beautiful cities in the world. And now, like you said, it's a shithole. Totally.
Absolutely. It's really sad because it was like you said, it was an awesome, you know, even in the 70s, you know, that's where the Summer of Love took place in 1967. Haight-Ashbury district. Exactly. But, you know, now you go down to the Haight-Ashbury district, you know, you go down there, you're going to get mugged, you're going to get beaten up and probably stabbed. Now, you know, I just wouldn't go to California in general anymore.
Same with Chicago, honestly, because where I live in Missouri, Chicago was a lot closer. We could drive 5 hours. So I went to Chicago twice a year, every year when it was time for a menu change. Mm-hmm. I would eat on Friday night. I'd eat at 6 restaurants. Saturday night, I'd eat at 6 restaurants to get ideas for my menu. And I mean, Chicago, we'd stay right on Michigan Avenue. We stayed at the Peninsula. That's back when I had dough. It was, I mean, just such an experience. The streets were clean. It was beautiful. The shops, Michigan Avenue now, even, you know, I see these kids, what do they call that when all those kids get together and they run in a store and loot it? But it's gone to hell. Even the nice parts of Chicago. It's sad, man.
It is, but that's why I love what Donald Trump is doing. And I'm sorry. Is it scary? Could it cause problems in the future? It may very well cause problems in the future. But I will say that for now, some of these cities are so far gone that he has to do this. It has to be done. I mean, you know, with Chicago, I would say Detroit too, New Orleans, Atlanta, you know, even Los Angeles.
Here in my state. Yeah.
Yeah.
St.
Louis.
You said it a few weeks ago, and I didn't really buy into it. But the more I've looked into it, I believe he needs to declare the Insurrection Act.
He should. And then he can absolutely go into all of these and clean up everything. And
he can federalize, the National Guards in each state. And we talked about it last week. It gives the president the power to federalize those troops. It's in the Constitution, so they can call him an authoritarian or whatever, but he's following the law. I guarantee you he's got people in his ear like Stephen Miller saying, you need to do this, sir. I
absolutely love Stephen Miller. But Free is right, and this is why I said it could cause problems in the future. He said you'll hate martial law when they elect Newsom, and he's right.
That's true.
That's why I say, you know, it could cause problems in the future. But the thing is, they're going to do it anyway. They are going to do it anyway. As soon as they get elected, they've already said they're going to target us. They've already said they're going to target conservatives and Americans. They've already said they will do all of these things and not care. That's the thing. Republicans are spineless for the most part. So they say, oh, I don't want to do this. It's going overboard, yada, yada. Well, the Democrats will do it. So we might as well do it now first and clean everything up. Hell, you know, declare martial law and arrest Newsom for the one of millions of crimes that he has done. Arrest that son of a bitch. Arrest J.B. Pritzker. These people, and I'm not talking about arresting them just because they're unpopular. They have committed actual crimes. I mean, real crimes. The crimes that they did, like with the Pacific Palisades. All that money was stolen. It was actually stolen. There is so much missing money in Illinois and California. I guarantee you the governors have a hand in that. I would guarantee it.
You know, nothing's been rebuilt yet. Nothing at all. Nothing.
No. And they're actually starting to force people to sell the land.
Yeah. Yeah, you knew that there's something up with that whole thing, man. As a matter of fact, I read an article last week was saying that they have evidence now that it was some leftist wacko Antifa guy that started those fires in Pacific
I saw the
Palisades.
picture of him. He's definitely an Antifa. You know, you could tell right off the bat. It's always in the eyes. The eyes do not lie. You know, they might be able to say something else, but their eyes do not lie. Now, Terry says they'll be screaming for federal funds. They've already been screaming for federal funds. They have been screaming for them from the rooftop, but Trump will not give it to them until he does make certain concessions that would make America or make California safer. Now, do I want martial law? Of course not. And hopefully he doesn't have to declare martial law.
But the Insurrection Act is not the same as
law.
declaring martial law.
And it can only be declared
completely different. I mean, if he declares the Insurrection Act, it just means that he can federalize National Guard troops. Then they can act as police and actually arrest people. But there wouldn't be martial law.
No, because the Insurrection Act can only be done in certain instances anyway. If you enact martial law, you know, you can do anything you want, basically. You can suspend habeas corpus. You can suspend the Constitution. You cannot do that under the Insurrection Act.
But I mean, look at 2020. You can't tell me. You remember they burned down a federal courthouse. They came within, a couple hundred meters of the White House? You remember that? They had to take Trump. That is an insurrection. That's what an insurrection looks like when they're burning down federal courthouses. They're killing people. They're firebombing police cars in mass. It wasn't just here and there. The Summer of Love, that's when it should have been declared. I mean, that kind of stuff. And I think with what's going on at ICE facilities, you know, they're very small pockets, but I'm saying go for it. See what happens. It'll get challenged in court. Let the courts work it out.
And I gotta say, to Free, who said, just to let the shitholes burn. I would like to do that, but the problem is there are so many conservatives in these areas, and these were once great cities. Okay. Yeah. Now I can't say that we can't even say that the people get what they vote for, because a lot of these were done through cheating. I mean, look at this. Mayor Brandon Johnson was reelected last year or something. He has a 7% approval rating. 7%, the lowest in the history of politicians, the lowest in the history of mayoral politicians, yet he was reelected like last year. So, I mean, I can't really just throw these people to the wolves, because I got to say that they're probably not the ones actually electing these people.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's a huge problem in itself. How do we fix the elections if the elections aren't fair? We don't have any method or power anymore. It's been taken away from us. So the Insurrection Act, although it's extreme, I mean, it's one of the few things left to our side to take care of some of this.
Yeah, we have to. The problem is there's ups and downsides to everything. Should we federalize the elections? It is a federal election. It is a federal election. But at the same time,
that's in the Constitution that the states handle that. You'd have to get 2/3 of the states to change it. I mean, it's constitutional. You can't change that.
Happen. That's the problem.
It won't happen.
It won't happen. And you could not get 2/3 of the states to agree on anything, because half are Republican and half are Democrat. They're not going to agree on a constitutional amendment of any kind. And that's the problem, though. States that want to cheat, they can cheat for the president. Illinois, California, these deeply blue states, New York, that may not even actually be blue, but there's enough illegal voters and enough mail-in ballots that they can make these states look like they're blue. Here in North Carolina. I'm in North Carolina, James, and you saw Trump won the state of North Carolina. Yep. We've got a super majority of Republicans in the House. In the House and the Senate for North Carolina's General Assembly, yet a Democrat won governor for like the 10th straight term or something, 10th straight 4 year. I don't even know. It doesn't make sense. These things don't make sense.
It makes no sense at all, and I don't believe it. Same thing happened in Arizona.
Oh, Katie Hobbs. We talked about that last week.
Yeah,
Katie Hobbs certified her own election. She was the Secretary of State, and she certified her election for Arizona governor.
So one thing they're doing, that the Trump administration is doing, he signed an executive order back in March. Mm-hmm. It's called Preserving and Protecting the Integrity of American Elections, that declared a policy of tightening voter registration and list maintenance process. And the DOJ, the order directs federal agencies to work with states to verify citizenship and coordinate between the DOJ and the Department of Homeland Security. The problem is these states, you're going to work with Trump's DOJ. They're just saying, bugger off, pal. We're not going to do it.
Well, that's the thing. And that's why we say the president doesn't really have any power. He can't make laws. All he can do is sign or not sign shit. And executive orders have no real power. They're not enforceable criminally. They're only, he can only, pull federal funding from something if he wants to. That's about it. So, I mean, you can't really enforce.
And even then it'll be challenged in court if he does that. Right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, hell, they challenged to keep USAID alive. So I think they'd challenge anything at this point. But so, I mean, he can't even do that. So, I mean, the president doesn't have any real power. The real power, if you ask me, lies in, honestly, I think the vice president has a lot of power as president of the Senate, not as vice president, but as president of the Senate. The vice president has a ton of power, because right now, did you know that Kamala Harris as vice president actually enacted 32 bills? She was the deciding vote on 32 bills that went, to Joe Biden for his signature. The president of the Senate, the vice president, I think has the most power of anybody, right next to the Speaker of the House, actually.
Yeah, when it's a 50-50 split like it is. Yeah, definitely.
And
which is another bogus BS thing.
Oh, of course. I mean,
Georgia elected 2 Democrats to the Senate. Give me a break.
And then you've got in California where it took months to count the House votes. Months.
Right. Right now.
Argentina
It's so
counts, 20
ridiculous.
million votes overnight, but it takes California months to count the House votes, and they all go in favor of the Democrat.
Well, I guess we're about out of time. The one thing I will say, I'm glad nobody's dying in Gaza or Israel tonight. That is a good thing. You got to give Trump some credit for that, because I know he worked very hard, and Kushner and Wyckoff, they worked really hard on this, and it is kind of a historic thing. We'll see how it plays out. We can get into the minutia of the deal maybe next week. I've done a lot of digging into it. The one thing is, Jack, man, the minute they send American troops on the ground over there, his base will go nuts. Would you guys
I
agree?
will go nuts if he does.
I will
that
go
shit.
nuts.
But I got to tell you that for anybody out there, anybody that does not like Trump or doesn't like what Trump does, if you're a libertarian, if you're, even on the left or in the middle, let me tell you, you've got to give Trump credit for one thing. Just by getting elected, he saved America. Just by getting elected. If you don't like him for anything else, you can at least say he saved America just by getting elected.
Agreed. With that, we will leave it at that. You've been listening to Secret America. He's Jack Danger. I am James Clary. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to Secret America with Jack Danger and James Clary.